This video shows you how to control data usage by restricting access to certain applications. In our example, the vessel's crew uses a Starlink subscribed to a 1 terabyte monthly plan. Therefore, we will configure the CommBox Edge to allow the crew to use 30 gigabytes per day. We will also gradually block more high bandwidth applications as the crew uses more of the day's quota. The first step is to create traffic policies to define your application controls. Log in to the CommBox Edge OS, either locally via the onboard network or remotely via the CommBox Edge Cloud portal. Next, select the configuration wizard from the menu. Then select Traffic Policies. Make sure the Network tab is selected. Then start a new traffic policy. First, give the policy a descriptive name. Next, you have the option to block certain categories of content with this policy. Let's block all malicious sites. For the next section, we select the Starlink WAN connection, since we want to control usage over Starlink. Next, we will skip the shaping policy profile, which allows you to set limits on data rates. That's covered in another video. Instead, let's scroll down to Application Policy Profile. Here you can set rules to allow or deny access to certain applications, domains, or even IPs and ports. There are over 500 applications to choose from. You can also set the priority and limit the data rates of your selected applications. For our first profile though, let's simply deny access to all streaming media and games. These apps consume a lot of data. We then keep the implicit allow rule in place to permit access to anything else over the Starlink connection. Save the new traffic policy, and it should now appear in the list. For our second traffic policy, in addition to streaming and games, let's block social media. Our third and final policy will be much more restrictive. We will allow just email and a few sites critical for vessel operations. In our case, the U.S. Coast Guard and the weather. Finally, we need to change the last rule to implicit deny, which will block all other traffic from the Starlink connection. Now that we have created our 3 traffic policies at the Edge OS, we're ready to set up our daily quota at the CommBox Edge Cloud portal. Log into the portal and select Quota Control. Then, find the site that has the new traffic policies and select Add Quota. Now select the CommBox Edge device. Next, since we want to control data usage over the Starlink connection, we select the WAN interface and the Starlink WAN. Next, select the period and amount of the quota. In our example, we want to allocate 30 gigabytes daily. Now set up the actions that the CommBox Edge should take when certain percentages of that quota are reached. First, at 50% of the quota, or 15 gigabytes of usage, we will assign our first traffic policy, which blocks streaming and games. Next, at 75%, or 22.5 gigabytes of usage, we assign our second traffic policy, which adds social media to the block list. Finally, at 90%, or 27 gigabytes of usage, we assign our third and final traffic policy, which blocks everything except email and a few important websites. At this threshold, we might also want to notify ourselves that this action was triggered. Note that we also have the option to disable the Starlink interface altogether to prevent any possible overages. Another option is to switch to another WAN connection by selecting a different WAN profile that omits Starlink. And that's all there is to it, unless you want to change what happens on quota renewal. Finally, don't forget to save your new quota. It should now appear in the quota control table. The usage bar indicates the current level of Starlink usage in relation to the quota you set. You may also edit, copy, delete, disable, or enable your quota at any time. This concludes our brief tutorial on application policies. To learn more, refer to the associated topic in the knowledge base. If you have any questions, please contact KVH Technical Support.